Hello everyone, this is Trombone and welcome back to the channel. You know, that sad dusty place where I used to put all my love and time into. Time that was cruelly taken over with my obsession with Twitch and streaming. But that's not the point, folks. The point is that I've tried a new game and I'm here to tell you my thoughts and opinions of it right here for we'll call it the first time. Introducing Robothorium. This game really needs a subtitle. Robothorium. It's just Robothorium. A revolutionary game that tosses out all of your expectations for what a game should be in 2018. Want 1080p graphics? Want a first-person perspective of the environment and to be immersed in it so you don't know if you're you or the character you're playing? Want music on a budget that costs more than your car? I didn't think so, because this game tosses out all of those and gives you a whole new experience on the most revolutionary engine since the NES was released, Imagination. That's right, the same engine that powered games in the 90s and early 2000s is back again. Rather than spoon-feeding you images and sounds that make you feel like you're in the environment the game provides for you, the revolutionary developers at Goblin Studios have created a slate with a blurry image and you have your own imagination to fill in the blanks. Robothorium is a story-driven dungeon crawler that puts you in the streets and factories of the future, where robots and humans are much closer in traits than you might think. To review this game, I think we should hit a few major talking points. First, the combat system, next the actual dungeon crawling, and finally, the story. Like I alluded to, we're going to kick this crazy review off with talking about the combat system. Have you ever loaded up a game and are incredibly disappointed that while you're lopping off the heads of zombies for hours at a time, or shooting the same 4 characters in the face in Call of Duty, that there's a veritable black hole where combat stats should be? Then Robothorium is the game for you, with stats not only for your health, but also your shield. You think 2 combat stats are where they stop? You're wrong. There's also resistances, speed, crit chance, and regeneration. That's not even to mention all of the various buffs and debuffs to these stats that are introduced when you're in the thick of combat. Speaking of the thick of combat, do you miss the days of a turn-based combat system, where each thing you do on each of your party's characters needs to be meticulously planned so you can most effectively rout your enemies? Then again, Robothorium is the game for you. All around, if when in combat in your dungeon crawler, you're looking to be confused as to whether you're playing a video game or in the basement playing D&D with the boys, or girls, or whatever the pronouns are that your group uses, then this game delivers, and hard. With all the stats and just waiting in sheer anticipation for your next turn, you're transported to the days of playing D&D again, and even find yourself making new noises for abilities or announcing your moves because the DM just didn't quite do it enough justice. Also, like in D&D, you're constantly encountering new items and along the way which can change your stats as you go as long as you swap or equip the item, tailoring your combat plan to your preferred game style on the fly. Next, I'd like to talk about the dungeon crawling itself. Along your way in the streets and factories that I was talking about, there are constantly things that you can interact with, giving your team new experiences, from new story interactions to inhibiting your enemies or even manipulating security devices to find out where enemies are, disabling traps or just finding out what's actually in that room just ahead. These dungeons are so in-depth that you can even go dumpster diving, break into an ATM, or even get an air vent drunk. Some rooms are just utterly the same as the last, and sometimes you run into a trap that you had no opportunity to avoid. Other than those 2 things, the crawling itself is actually really refreshing. You're walking and exploring just like you would if your party was thrown into the scenario in a real-world situation, with opportunities to advance your team in combat, to learning new parts of the story, and finding out what you did in the story previously has a way of exposing itself in the new dungeon, or running blindly into a trap or a combat that slows you from reaching your next goal. Finally, or so you think, we're going to talk about the story, which in my opinion carries this game, and hard. You're immediately upon starting the game thrown into a cutscene that describes the scenario that you've unwittingly been thrown into, learning that robots have developed feelings and ambitions and that you're an AI responsible for helping robot kind who have been repressed into a new era where humans and robots of all kinds can live in a world where robots finally have rights. Through your journey, you're guided by Sarah, a lady with an eye augmentation that is here to ensure that your missions go smoothly and that you fully grasp each situation at hand. Through your quests, you're encountering new characters who all have their vision of the future and ways to achieve it. You encounter not only those who want robots' rights expressed, but the dominant in society. To cyborgs and the problems that surround cyborg kind, to an orange-clad businessman who, by the way that he's dressed, you can tell means business. In dollars. And only dollars. Although the cutscenes aren't quite as cinematic as anything that's been presented in games in recent years, if you have a brain that is even remotely capable of imagination, this story is incredibly immersive, and each decision you make is not only impactful to the rest of the story, but is also never black and white. Each scenario that you find yourself in that requires a decision from you seems to be chock full of so many shades of gray that there is never a right or wrong answer, just ambiguous decision making. Also, if you find streaming tickles your fancy, then you can take your Twitch chat along with you into this journey of constant decisions being made with votes so you can democratically act to proceed in your game. All in all, with this game in early access, and for the current price of about $15, I do have to give this game a solid 7 out of 10. The story alone, and finding what happens next, pays for itself, in my opinion. This game is produced by Goblin Studios, and since you probably haven't heard of them, I won't go into too many more jokes at their expense. These people are working incredibly hard trying to make this game a far better experience than it was each and every patch, providing their Discord for any bugs you might find or just any suggestions you might have for the game. They really do care about this feedback, and it's incredibly satisfying to see your feedback change the game seemingly the next day. Full disclosure, I did receive this game for free from them, but I do think I did a pretty fair job at evaluating their game, whether that be through sarcasm or flat out saying some disappointing things about the game. I do recommend this game, however, and highly to anyone that wishes their decisions in RPG mattered, or were just plain harder. Guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it, and I apologize for the sound just right now. Right now, when I'm saying thanks. That's when it decides to get really weird. But I really do appreciate you taking the time, checking the video out, even if you haven't heard of the game, especially if you haven't heard of the game. It means a lot that you came here to kind of see what I have going on. If you liked the video, feel free to hit that like button. If you didn't, feel free to hit the dislike. I mean, yeah, I need to know. If you want to see more of what I got coming up and some of what I've seen in the past, find it a little easier, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much, and until my next video, have a good one.